So Florida is the Sunshine State. You can go to the beach, you got outdoor activities all year round, no state income tax. Sounds pretty good, huh? Well, maybe not so much, because Florida has some negatives, and the negatives are pretty tough to deal with. So if you're thinking about moving here, you're going to have to deal with these negatives. And I'm going to go over the 9 top negatives about living in the state of Florida and living in the Tampa Bay area, and I'm going to do it right now. So what's up everyone, Sean McManaman here. We make videos each week about living in Tampa Bay, living in Florida, sprinkle in a little real estate mortgages to help you. So if that's something you're interested in, hit that subscribe button and tap on that little bell and you'll be notified each week when we make a new video. Okay, so let's get started. The number one negative about living in Florida is weather, and it's the heat and humidity, and mostly in the summer. So here's how our summers go. They start probably end of April is when it really starts getting warm, and then goes all the way through till the end of September. Now it really goes through the mid-October. And what happens is we don't really have a lot of high temperatures. You know, like we don't have temperatures in the hundreds or 110s or anything like that. We usually stay 90s, but what we do have is we have 40%, 50%, 60%, and sometimes even higher humidity. So our feels like temperature in the summer is always going to be around 100. It's either going to be 100, 110, and it is sticky and it gets very hot. So if you're going to live here in the summer, it's something you're going to have to deal with. Your air conditioning has to work very well. Your electric bill is going to be high in the summer because it is just hot. And you got to plan your outdoor activities around that. Meaning you got to do what you want to do outside if it's going to be real physical activity in the mornings or at night, you know, closer to sunset. And if you want to go to the beach, you want to go swimming, obviously the water helps, but it is hot and it feels like it's 110 most of the time. So that's something you're going to have to deal with if you're going to move here to Florida. So the number 2 negative is also weather related, but it's a little different in that it is rain, lightning, and hurricanes and tropical storms. So in the summer, you're going to get all kinds of rain, and you're going to get rain on a daily basis. What happens is usually it's in the afternoon and the storms come and they're pretty heavy. So you could be, you know, a beautiful sunny day all day, and then all of a sudden around 3 or 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, here comes the thunderstorms, and they're heavy, and it rains hard for a good half hour, 45 minutes, and then it's sunny again. But one of the things that happens with our rain is that you get a lot of lightning. We're in the lightning capital of the world, so you've got to be careful. People come down here, they don't understand. Even if it's sunny and you see a storm coming, you need to take cover because lightning comes at the edge of storms. And we get people that get hit by lightning every year, and they just don't understand that you got to be careful. We are in the lightning capital of the world, and with all those thunderstorms that happen, like I said, many lightning strikes, you'll be amazed once you come here. We're used to it, and we know that it happens, but there is a ton of lightning. You've got to be prepared for hurricanes and tropical storms. We're in the Tampa Bay area. So we haven't gotten directly hit by a hurricane my whole life. So it doesn't really come directly at us a lot of times just because of where we're located. Other parts of Florida get hit by hurricanes. You just got to be careful and you got to be aware and be prepared when a hurricane comes, because they come in the summers and they're quite frequent. I mean, we usually get 3 to 4 threats a year. So you'll see them coming. It's not like a tornado or earthquakes, things like that. You know it's coming and you got to be prepared. Same with tropical storms. Tropical storms can be very strong, just like hurricanes. So we have to deal with that through the summer, and it's something you'll get used to and you'll learn how to prepare for it. Every year I go out and I buy a ton of water at the beginning of summer that I just store just in case. We have our generators fueled up and ready to go just in case there's a hurricane. So that's something you're going to have to deal with. So the number 3 negative is the fact that we've grown in population so much, and we have tourists that come here. Tourism's not so negative, but it adds to the crowding here. It is very crowded. In the winter is when the height of tourist season, and it's hard to get around. I mean, basically, if you're going to go to a restaurant, you want to go to a movie or anything, you're going to have to factor in a wait, because that's just the way it is. We have a big influx of northerners now. The fact that we don't have any state income tax, that really brings people here. And the cost of living is pretty affordable here, so it has become very crowded, and that's something you're just going to deal with. In the winter, like I said, you're going to see license plates from all over the country and up into Canada, so it gets crowded, and that is just an issue you got to deal with living here. So with it being so crowded brings me to my next negative, and that's traffic. Now, for as long as I can remember, like I said, I've lived here my whole life, I can remember that we've had traffic problems forever. We don't have a great infrastructure. All the people who were planning back in the 60s and 70s when we were really growing, they didn't do a really good job, because we don't have a good infrastructure of roads, of getting from, like Clearwater to the beach. It takes forever. So the traffic is very heavy, and especially in winter, like I said, when it's tourist season, the traffic is crazy. And I get comments on my videos sometimes when I mention traffic. You really don't know traffic because you're not in a big city. I mean, we're in a pretty good sized city in the Tampa Bay area, but we have traffic everywhere, and we don't have great public transportation, so the roads are crowded, and it's just something you got to have a good car, and you got to know that wherever you're going to go, it's going to take you some time. It's going to take you a half hour, might take you a little longer, so traffic is very heavy. So the number 5 negative has to do with the traffic and the crowding, and that is the fact that we don't have a great public transit system. We don't have public transportation. Now, I get comments on my videos too. Oh, we have buses, we have cabs. Yes, we do. But we don't have a good infrastructure. We do not have a rail system. We don't have a subway system. So if you want to go to Orlando from Tampa, you're going to have to get on I-4, and you're going to battle traffic to get there. I wish they would have some kind of rail system that goes in between that would make it easier, or even going from Tampa to Miami. You're going to have to get on the interstate, and that's just the way it is. We just don't have public transportation. You can't go from Tampa to St. Pete on maybe like a subway or a rail system either. You got to drive. So you've got to have a good car, and you're going to be driving quite a bit if you want to go anywhere here. I mean, there's Uber and things like that, but we just don't have good public transportation. So number 6, we're back to weather. And that is that we do not have a change of seasons here in Florida. You might have it a little bit in the Panhandle, Gainesville, Tallahassee, Pensacola. They may have a little more change of seasons, but for most of Florida, there's no change of seasons. We don't really go from, summer to fall, the changing of the leaves, the things that you might be used to up north. We just don't have it. And temperature-wise, we definitely don't have that. We don't go from, hot to cold. We go from hot to warm, back to hot. We really don't have a cold. In the winter, it's the best time of year, though, because the temperatures are in the 60s and 70s, and it's no humidity, and it's beautiful. But you're going to have, you can have the holidays, and it's 75 degrees, and I've heard people say, well, it just doesn't feel like that. Well, that's the way it is here. There just isn't a big change of seasons ever, and you're going to have warm weather all year round. That's why people come here from up north in the winter, because they can go to the beach, in December, in January and February. It's going to be in the 70s. You're going to get days in the 70s. You will get some cool days. Sometimes it gets into the 30s, but very rarely. So change of seasons, not going to happen. Okay, so now we're getting into some of the fun stuff. Fun to talk about a little bit. And number 7 is bugs. So I get this question a lot on my channel. What about the bugs here in Florida? Well, we have a ton of bugs, and they're a little ugly and a little big. You gotta get used to them. So here in Florida, we have roaches. Okay, the roaches can get to be that big. They're big, and they fly. Some of them fly. So you'd be sitting in your living room and all of a sudden you see something flying through the air and it's a roach. You know, some people freak out. I'm used to it by now because I've lived here my whole life, and roaches are just part of it. No matter how good at pest control you have, you're going to have roaches in your house. So be prepared for that. You're going to have mosquitoes in the summer and no-see-ums. Mosquitoes, when you go out at night, you've got to spray yourself if you're down by the beach, and for the no-see-ums and the mosquitoes, because the mosquitoes will bite you in a humid climate here. They just love humans. And the no-see-ums, those are like bugs you can't see, I guess. And you'll feel them if you go down by the beach at night. You got to spray yourself because those things will nip at you pretty bad. We have fire ants and we have, you know, hornets and wasps. So we have a lot of bugs here in Florida. Just be prepared for that, and don't freak out when you see that one big roach and you look at him and all of a sudden he flies over your head, because that can happen. Number 8 is wildlife. Our wildlife here is amazing. We have everything. We have a wide range of animals here, and some that you'll be afraid of, some that are really cool to look at, and some people are brave. So the biggest one that I get comments on, don't you have alligators? Aren't alligators coming after people, and aren't they dangerous? Well, we have alligators everywhere. Okay, there's alligators in every body of water in the state of Florida. Anticipate that there will be an alligator in there. I had that question when I was showing houses as a realtor. Is there an alligator in this lake? Yes. Just be prepared that there are alligators. Now, alligators don't bother you. They really don't. If you don't bother them, they're not going to bother you. Now, you have idiots out there that go up and they try to feed them, or they want to mess with them. Well, then they're going to get bit, and then they're going to come at you. For the most part, they're animals that just want to be left alone. I play golf, and whenever I play golf, I see them out there, and we play golf right next to them. You just don't go at them and don't bother them, and they'll leave you alone. So there are alligators, and they're around everywhere. The other thing is snakes. Okay, we have snakes, and we have a lot of them. And everybody that has a house in Florida has a black snake in their yard, or they've seen a black snake, and the thing gets pretty long. I mean, they can be aggressive a little bit, but they're not poisonous. They're not going to hurt you. We have corn snakes and garter snakes, and they get big and they look ugly, but they're not going to hurt you. Now, we do have poisonous snakes. We have rattlesnakes, and we have coral snakes, a beautiful looking snake if you look at it, colorful, but it is very venomous and very dangerous. And we have water moccasins. Water moccasins are aggressive, and they're very poisonous also, and it's something you got to be careful. Another thing about lakes, streams, rivers, there's moccasins in there, no matter what. If somebody tells you there's not, that's not true. I remember going on a trip when I was in high school. After spring football, we all would go up to Rainbow River, go tubing as a celebration for the end of spring. And I remember I was on the tube and I saw a snake going across the top of the water, and I was walking on water when I saw that. From then on, I am not going into lakes or rivers. There's just no way, because there are snakes there. The other thing you got to be aware of is if you go in the oceans, there are sharks. They're out there. I mean, we don't have a ton of shark attacks or anything like that on our coast. On the Atlantic, maybe a little more. But you just got to be careful, and you got to know when to go in the water, when not to go in the water. Okay? You know, like at dawn, and that's when they feed. So you got to be careful. Just got to know, where to be. And stingrays. There are so many tourists that get dinged by stingrays when they come down here. You got to do the shuffle when you get in the water. You got to drag your feet along the ground and shuffle your feet so that they get scared and they go away. They're not going to attack you, but if you step on a stingray, you're going to know it. And we have lizards, okay? People get freaked out by lizards, and they get pretty big in my area. They're harmless. And now in the Miami area, you have geckos, and those things get fat and big. Now again, they're not going to hurt you, but they are ugly, in some people's opinion, and they don't like them. So we have lizards everywhere. I mean, literally, if I walked outside right now, there'd be a lizard right there. They're all over the place. The other thing we have is we have coyotes, and we have those type of animals. We have bears in some areas, and those are things you gotta know about it, and you gotta know, don't let your dog go, a little dog out at night in certain areas, especially if you live by a lake. You got alligators, and so we have those type of animals here, but as long as you're careful, you'll be fine. Okay, number 9 is kind of back to weather, but it's the sun. All right, it's the sun. It is very strong here. And people don't realize when they go to the beach that they have to put on sunscreen. You're crazy if you don't. You will get fried. And I've seen tourists that are just beet red when they're done, and it's painful and it's miserable the next day. You basically are in pain for a few days after that. So when you come here, just be prepared. If you go outside, if you're going to be outside a long period of time, you got to have sunscreen. Even if it's cloudy. I mean, it can be dark, almost cloudy in the summer, and the rays still come through there, and they'll still nail you. So you've got to be careful of the sun. It is very dangerous here, and it gets very hot, and it will burn you. And a lot of people get skin cancer here if they're not careful. So that is the number 9 thing, and that kind of brings us to the end of this, and that those are the 9 things. So you just got to take them as they come, and you got to know what you're going to get into living here. None of them have ever bothered me, really. I love living here, but those are some of the negatives you'll have to deal with. Right now, you're probably seeing some videos flashing across of some of the other videos on our channel. Please subscribe to our channel. My contact information is here. If you're looking at moving to the area, our contact information is here, so you can contact one of our realtors. I have realtor partners, and they can show you around, show you some houses. I do mortgages. I can help you get pre-approved if you want. So just feel free to reach out to me. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Stay safe. Have a great day. Thank you very much.